Hi guys, it's Amanda. So today I thought we would do something a little fun and different and talk about wedding planning. And today specifically about wedding planning, talk about invitations, because that's what I'm doing right now in my wedding planning. So a few things I want to talk about invitations. One, your invitation in general as a guideline should be about 2% of your wedding budget. There's estimates that the average wedding in America costs $28,000. That would be about $560 for wedding invitations. Second of all, your invitations should really speak to the tone and formality of your wedding. So I have some different examples here that we'll go through, and I'll talk about and this is my personal opinion. Traditional wedding etiquette is that your invitations go to your tone and formality of your wedding, but so I'll give my personal opinion on some of these of what kind of wedding I think these examples would speak to. These are all invitations that I had ordered for samples, so these are all invitations that I personally considered for my wedding, and they are from different companies. And I will try to give you some pricing guidelines on them, but I can't promise that I've remembered the pricing for everything. Anyways, let's get started. So first one we have here, this is a beautiful flat or digital print invitation from Minted. I think this is so beautiful. I think to me this looks like this has been hand painted on with watercolors, but it's not. This is just a digital printing. This is a flat print, so it's completely just one smooth piece of paper. I just think this is so beautiful. But flat printing is the most casual and most affordable of your wedding invitations, which is great. But at the same time, it's a little more casual. I think I just said it's the most formal. It's the most informal, sorry. I love this, but when I look at this, I think afternoon garden party wedding. And that would be so much fun to attend. But I just don't think, evening, elegant reception type of wedding. I think more afternoon, light and casual. If I got this, I would probably show up in a sundress and wedges. And so if I received this to an evening, or if I received this for an evening wedding, I'd be a little confused already, but I would still think it would lean towards more casual. And then if I showed up and it was inside, and it was more formal, I'd feel very underdressed and I'd feel very uncomfortable. So I thought this one was lovely, but perhaps a little more casual than what we're going for. And typically, I'd say it depends upon the company. So this one's Minted, so don't say that's the pricing for this one. But I would say for a flat print invitation, you could expect to spend between $1 and $2 per invitation, again, depending upon where you are getting them from. The next one here is from a company called Invitations by Dawn, and I think this is something new and very different. This is a foil print invitation, so or foil stamped. So because this is stamped onto the paper, there is a little bit of texture wherever the foil is, and then the paper is shimmery as well. I thought this was a lot of fun. This is another very affordable. It's going to cost a little bit more than like a flat print, but not as much as the other ones here. So I really enjoyed this one and I liked it, but at the end of the day I looked at this and I thought, if I received this for someone else's wedding, I wouldn't know what to wear. What is this invitation saying to me? Is this saying to me that we're having a ballroom seated dinner? Are we having a cocktail style reception? What's going on? So if someone sent this to me, my first reaction would be, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, I love the invitation, but I would immediately email, call, or text them and be like, hey, what should I wear to your wedding? And so I thought this was very fun, but perhaps not as traditional. Next here, so I'm going to show you this one first, but then I'm going to kind of show you the two side by side. This is another one from Invitations by Dawn, and this is something Invitations by Dawn has called a feather press. And what feather press is kind of a mock letterpress. I'm putting it here against the cat at an angle. I think you can see there. You can see how this is kind of indented into the paper. So this is, it's pressed into the paper, but the reason they call it feather press, it is a much lighter pressing than a letterpress. And so this is a invitation by Minted. This is actually my favorite invitation of all the samples we received. This, however, will not be my wedding invitation, as my fiance was not a huge fan of it. Letterpress is the oldest, or one of the oldest forms of printing, and it's going to be a more formal method of printing, where you can see this one is pretty thick and substantial. And this one, although no flimsy piece of paper, is certainly way less thick. And so you need the thickness to handle the ink being pressed into the paper with a little letterpress. So the feather press is going to mimic that look, but you can certainly tell if you were running your fingers over them. This has very light indentation. This is a very strong indentation. But I think this is really, if you like the idea of a letterpress, but perhaps letterpress is not in your budget, I think this is a very nice formal nice alternative. And again, so this and the foil actually, again, they're both from Invitations by Dawn, and these both had the exact same price. So, you know, you're certainly keeping it affordable, but still kind of getting the look. So letterpress, I love the way this looks. I didn't think I would love letterpress, but I think I just really like the design of this one. I love the black against the white and the calligraphy. And my fiance really didn't like how things are kind of at an angle here, and so that's why we decided to go against this one. But this would be a very formal invitation here with either a white or a cream backing and then plain black script printed on it. So this is a very nice option. And if you like this one is called Just My Type, and it is from Minted. And one thing that's really cool about Minted is they include they print the return address labels and the invitations, the envelopes for you, and that's included in the price. So next we have another two. I'm going to show you this one first, then we're going to look at them side by side. This is from Invitations by Dawn, and this is a thermography. And so this is just an example of one thermography that I picked out from our samples to show you. So you know, you wouldn't have to get it with the gold edging. You could get it on just a plain paper. So what thermography is kind of a mock engraving. An engraving is, again, a very old printing method and is going to be the most formal type of engagement, invitation. So what engraving does is when things are engraved, a custom engraving plate is made. So all of this script here would have been carved into a metal plate. The metal plate is then inked, and it is pressed, it is, you know, stamped onto the invitation, and that creates a raised, the printing is raised. So here on, so these are our two most formal ones. We can look at it kind of side by side. So here on the letterpress, it's pressed in, and here on the engraving, when it's pressed on, it causes the ink to raise up. And so, that's kind of the difference between the two printings, but you can see these two have a very, very similar look, and that's why I would say, even though they're different printing and engraving does cost more than letterpress, I would still say these have very equal methods of formality, so to speak. If you were doing a strictly, if your wedding was a true black tie wedding, then you would absolutely want to go with engraving because it is absolutely the most formal, the most traditional. But I think otherwise, if you're just having a formal wedding, the letterpress or the engraving is equally as formal, in my opinion. So thermography, though, because like I said, engraving is the most expensive way to have your invitations done, thermography kind of came about as a way to mimic that. And so how thermography mimics that is what it is there is a flat printing that is done, and then a resin that is spread over, or I guess powdered over the invitation, and that sticks to the ink from the flat printing, and then it causes the printing to raise up. So I'm going to bring this in a little, though. So one thing you can kind of see, I'm going to kind of just shine it in the light a little, maybe you can see that, maybe you can't, is the thermography has kind of a sheen to it, where the engraving is going to be, the print is going to be very matte. So to me, again, I'm really into stationery, so I pick up on these things. So to me, just looking at these two, I absolutely can tell the difference that this one's thermography and that this one is engraved. But another way, this is typically the way that you can tell, is I'm going to turn this over so you can see these indentations on the back, and this is called bruising, and this comes from the force of the engraving plate being pressed onto the paper. It bruises the back of the paper. So anything that's been engraved is going to have this bruising along the back. And then this one with the Thermography, it's a solid plain backing, nothing going on back here. So that's how you can tell the difference between those two. Ultimately, we have decided, I say we, really I have decided that we are going with the engraved invitation. So we'll be doing an invitation on either a classic white or a classic background. We will have an engraving plate made and our ink stamped onto the paper with the information. We're going to do a different script than this, so our invitation's not going to look quite like this. But that's the method that we chose. Our wedding, we're doing a receiving line. Dinner will be seated. Obviously drinking and dancing to come. We're doing toast. Where I live in the South, most people tend to have buffets, even in very formal settings. It's a lot of buffets, not assigned seating. So I felt like our wedding is going to be a little more, have more traditional formal elements than your typical Southerner would expect to see at a wedding. I know from my New Jersey friends, and friends up in the Northeast, our wedding might feel to them a little more casual because weddings up there are a little more formal, just in general. And then we have a lot of people from California coming in, but hopefully our guests will just be excited in general that we're getting married and that they have been invited to spend the day with us. But hopefully the invitation will set a nice tone that we are keeping our event a little more formal and classic. So to expect some more classic things from the wedding. But I think these, obviously, again, I chose all of them. I thought these were all excellent choices that you could have for your wedding. So typically what happens when you request, I should mention, this is not from Minted or Invitations by Dawn. This is from a private